Buying a model nowadays is kind of like watching a commercial for McDonald's. Everything is vividly colorful and perfectly proportioned. So often, however, I get a model assembled or ready for priming, and it barely resembles the model on the box and will require lots of prep work to get to a place where you can even start painting and hope to have a final good product. One of the main reasons for this is mold lines. The seam where liquid hot plastic bubbles up through the mold is an inescapable pain point of the miniature hobby, and unfortunately something we all must deal with. There's simply no way to paint a mini well without first removing noticeable mold lines. Today I'm going to put some of the most popular tools used for mold line removal through their paces, as well as share with you a secret hack I discovered that has lately become my go-to tool for some of the nastiest mold lines I encounter. First up, the timeless XActo knife. These come in many shapes and sizes, but the one I have is an XL knife. I think it was about $10 and it came with 3 extra blades. As a baseline for our test, Katie tried this bad boy out on some mold lines, also known as flash, that come off terrain from the original Warcry starter box. There are situations where an XActo knife will be perfectly adequate for removing most of the flash from the model. Doesn't particularly work well in this instance though, because every few inches along the flat edge of this terrain you come to a nub where the sprue had to be cut off. The XActo knife doesn't handle these well and actually can feel a little dangerous to use if you apply the force needed to really cut through these. Still, the XActo or utility knife is something a lot of people have and will work for much of the flash you are likely to run into. You can slice as well as scrape with it. And another pro tip, if you want to be more aggressive and not worry about damaging the model, you can flip the knife around to the backside and use the non-sharp edge of the blade in a scraping motion. This is a machined metal edge that actually works well in certain circumstances. Next, I have a scalpel blade. I've grown to love these as an alternative to XActo blades as they are sharper, last longer, and I can do brain surgery on myself in a pinch if I also have a mirror and some whiskey. Honestly, I can't think of much as far as reasons to not use this over the standard XActo or utility knife. They're just easier to use in almost every way. The only downside is if you aren't careful, you could easily take off a finger as these blades are literally made to go through flesh. Next on the list, we have the sanding stick. From the time I first heard 50 Cent rap about the sanding stick, I knew I needed a giant bag of these in my mini painting arsenal. A fine gritted sanding stick makes for easy polishing of a surface, and you can bring it to a high level of smoothness very easily. I like sanding sticks best amongst all my tools if the surface I'm working on is wide open and I don't have any crevices or tight spaces to deal with. Unfortunately, that's rarely the case with minis that regularly have mold lines that run into hands, feet, hair, and faces where the spaces are frequently smaller than the width of the stick. Next on the list, a popular option for mold lines is the Citadel Mold Line Scraper. I'll say this works great for long flat surfaces like what you might find in terrain, but it just doesn't get into any tight spots. And if the lines you are pulling on are not cooperative, which let's be honest, they seldom are, this just isn't effective. Great when it can be used properly, but rarely is that the case. Next on the list, the sanding stick's older brother, the sanding twig? Sure, the sanding twig. It looks interesting, and I figured it would be able to hold its own in tighter spots. Unfortunately, this thing was mostly useless. I couldn't get it to work well, and it would be interesting to hear from anyone who managed to use this as a go-to. It's just hard to get a standard level of pressure out of it in any sort of reliable way to produce a smooth result. Next, we come to the metal filing tools. Look, these are just too heavy-handed for most of the mold lines you come across in the mini hobby. They may work well for some terrain, but honestly, in the 3 years I've owned this set, I think I've had legitimate reasons to use them maybe once or twice. They just do too much damage to the surface to be useful, even the finer graded ones. Finally, we come to the last tool that I'm looking at today. I ordered this one on Amazon for $20 2 weeks ago, and I can confidently say it's the best $20 I've spent on this hobby in years. This is the Hardell Mini Cordless Rotary Tool, and it comes with 55 attachments that can do everything from cut to drill, and best of all, grind and polish. It has several teeny tiny brushed aluminum grinding bits that I find to be the perfect size, shape, and grit to get into tight spaces that no other mold line removal tool or technique would touch for me. I can finally get mold lines that run into hair, into fingers and toes, and God forbid, even into mouths. It charges via USB, and a charge takes 10 minutes and gives you a good 40 minutes of what the kids call heavy grinding. It also comes in this fashionable pink color and comes with 4 drill bits that are the perfect size to drill out gun barrels.
That's cool, evolving.
Even though it's made out of metal, the grit is really fine, so like you're not totally butchering all this, and it's nice and smooth.
Nice.
You can really get into those small spots. Smooth this out. All the way down to these hard to get areas, over some detail like his hand. Like back in here where you almost can't see. Getting way in there and getting this all cleaned out. Only problem is if you can't get this angled in there, you're not going to be able to clean it up, but that's the problem with all of them.
A world where this fucking thing costs $25 and this fucking thing costs $35, there's no reason that every serious hobbyist shouldn't have what I am calling the pink rocket in their hobby drawer, the Hardell Mini Cordless Rotary Tool. I'll link it in the description for this video, and if you like this content and want to see more, please like and subscribe. Thanks.
Ah!